Isn't just a problem in the United States. The rising tide of populism has alarmed leaders around the world. Queen Rania of Jordan spoke to Richard Quest about mending divisions in an increasingly fractured world.
Well, I think when you talk about the issue of being fractured, I think when it comes to politics, the world is fractured. But when it comes to everything else, our world has never been more interconnected. And not only that, it's never been more interdependent. So I think isolationism is no longer an option. Everything is traveling so fast, whether you're talking about emojis or Ebola or tourists or terrorism or technology or ideology, pretty much anything can go anywhere. And our conflicts are now borderless and they're mobile. And as a result of that, there's a lot of fear. And this fear is not unfounded. There are strong forces of disruption, whether social, economic, or political. So people are afraid of the new technologies. They're afraid for their jobs. They're afraid from terrorism. These things create, it's a rational reaction, but it creates an irrational action sometimes.
And when you talk about fear, that also leads to the blame game, doesn't it? We blame whether it's a political leader. We blame the immigration problem, whether it be refugees. Yes. We're always looking for someone to blame, which I suppose begs the question, who do we blame?
Well, first of all, fear makes you, it invokes irrational thoughts and behaviors. So it affects your decisions, whether it's who you vote for, where you choose to travel, what are the values that you hold dear. And more important than that, I think it feeds into populist thinking. And so, people start to, they want to go away from whatever is foreign and come to what's familiar. And that's why you have some polarization taking place. So fear can be a very dangerous thing. And when you have politicians that feed into that fear, it can be very divisive in societies and really undermine social cohesion and harmony. And that's something that we really need to look out for.
I suppose arguably some would say, do you have a politician in mind?
No, I mean, I think you're saying...
At some point, they're all at it.
Well, no, it's a very short-term agenda.
Yes.
Because it gives you results very quickly, but over the long term, it's very divisive and very destructive and counterproductive for any society.
As you watched the Me Too movement gather steam, and as somebody who has led the way on many of these issues and been at the forefront, what was your thought as you just saw Hollywood completely turn, not just turn on itself, but have this deep soul-searching about activities and behaviours, and now we've seen it in the political sphere. Recently in London we saw it in the banking sphere. What did you think?
Well, look, I'm hoping that we can look at 2017 as a turning point, as the year where we really started to address an issue that is an age-old issue that people have not been speaking about. So it's given new voice to an old issue. And I think, it's created the kind of social environment that's allowed people to feel more comfortable coming out and speaking about issues that have been going on for so long. So what I am hoping for is that this will create, these voices that have come out will turn into actual actions, that the anger that was generated will turn into actual action. And, so that we can see policies changing, so that we can see ethics and cultural norms instilled in corporations that don't allow for these kinds of things to happen.
On that point, everybody wants this change to take place, to be permanent, to be a mindset change.
A cultural change.
A cultural change. Can I be cynical and suggest we need to be very careful about people paying lip service to change, but nothing really changing underneath?
Exactly, because I think we want to see equal pay, for example. We want to see change in actual conduct. We want to see resources directed towards victims. So in parts of the world, we see women breaking through glass ceilings. In other parts, we see them being sold in modern-day slave markets. So there's a lot that needs to be done. And according to the latest Global Gender Gap report, at the current rate of progress, it's going to take us 217 years to achieve gender parity. So we have a lot of work to do. It's not enough to just talk about these things. We need to translate. We need to move from breaking the silence to actual tangible actions.
Richard Quest with Queen Rania of Jordan.